You're good.
Good. Welcome everyone to Parks and Rec Committee meeting agenda for Thursday, September 19th. Just like to remind everybody that the meeting is being broadcast and recorded. Recordings would be made available on the town's YouTube channel. I'd also like to ask anybody with their cell phones to please put them on mute. And anyone with a pecuniary interest, please declare it at the appropriate time. It's for delegations. So we'll move right on to 4.1. Have motion by Nettie McEwen, seconded by Alex Bojan. The Parks and Rec Committee meeting minutes from August 15th be adopted by the committee. Everybody get a chance to have a look at them? See any issues? All in favor? Great, thank you. Five point one, previous business arising, how about a business arising from previous minutes? So the task sheet. What are the things called?
Yeah. Speak to that a little bit. We've got a few things that we've added to it.
Okay,
Electrician, recently put a timer on the lighting out at the Blue Point tennis court. It will come on at dark with the eye, but then our time to shut off at 9 p.m. So, as requested. We are also at this point, just finished dropping in the platform at the Windcliff approach to the stairs, sliding down the hill. So they have a lot of that done. They're going to do a little cleanup tomorrow. By that on this list.
one thing I noticed was it was 911 addresses for our.
We have not ordered those yet. And we were talking of putting I believe park signs at those at some point as well. Right of ways, and the 911 address would be included on those. So if we want to do that and the little green board, the blade sign, that's doable as well, but.
My notes from that was just that if somebody had to call for an ambulance down to the beach, at least they'd have some reference to where the hell they are. So that was all. Anybody else have anything outstanding that they're seeing? Nettie, you have that look. Oh, go ahead, Teresa.
Just a question.
Sure.
With the lights coming on and staying on to 9 o'clock, if people aren't abiding by the rules of dusk to dawn, or dawn to dusk, I should say, can that be readdressed and it becomes an issue where they're hanging around later at night?
First of all, if we have it in the bylaw of what times our parks are closed. So that would be a bylaw matter to start with. You'd have to address it through them. Make adjustments accordingly at that.
Because dusk is dusk, right?
Yeah, well,
That's correct, but where there's a safety factor there as well that we've all discussed. That there was concerns with how dark it was in that area, so that's why we chose the 9 o'clock hour. We didn't feel that was too late in an evening for the park in that area.
and that park's a bit of an anomaly because it's the only one we've got that's lit. Yeah, other than the ballpark.
Other than, yeah.
That whole wolf thing, that's a bunch of bunk as far as I'm concerned. There's never been any wolves in that community that anybody would have to be afraid of.
Well, like I say, if it becomes an issue, then bring it back and we'll deal with it. That time. Because it's been out for.
We ran it for a while, then at the request, we shut it down. It had been shut down for a bit, and then we discussed how we were gonna manage it, and I think even at the meeting that we had out there was some discussion of the light being on. So we chose to go with this timer.
Yep.
And the timer was just installed today.
Yep.
It was just completed today, so.
I suggest we let it run and see, you of all people will know better than most that how it's acting, so. Keep us informed on it, please. Anybody else get any? Accounts payable. Okay, moving on to 6.1. August payables. A motion by Alex Bowden, seconded by Mike Thompson, that the accounts listed be received by Parks and Rec Committee for August 2024. Any questions? Okay, Alex, go ahead.
Just a question, is that 4,000 for Gordon Shoreline? Is that for one county?
Yeah, through the chair, that was for sounding the entire area. In order for them to give us an accurate quote, they had to know how much material was gonna come out. Speaking with Al, I don't think we're probably gonna, that's a lot of money to spend on something like that, especially when you're gonna be looking at doing it every year. So we're gonna try to come up with something in the future where we can do that ourselves or just make certain assumptions if we ever go to quote to get that dredging done, like do it by the cubic meter, for example, and have a range. It's not something that we'll probably look at doing in the future at all.
Stick that has 5 foot on it, walk out and go.
Yeah, again, we're looking at alternatives so that we're not spending $4,000 on something like that.
Can you explain to me what that is?
If it's over your boots,
Sounding survey. What is that? Explain.
how deep's the water?
That's all?
The sediment.
That's what we're paying $1,068 for?
We need to see the dredging costs.
Two.
Anyone else got? I've got one for the back of the bench. 2,500 bucks for a memorial bench replacement or something.
Yep. So I think it was approximately 2.5 years ago, we had a memorial bench over at the skateboard park that was damaged through vandalism. We had Cantons visit the site before we made any decisions on it. Canton said that it couldn't be repaired. You couldn't even try and piece it back together using parts of it. We had to order in the stone that was originally came from China, and I think that's all important to come. It finally came in just before Canton's handed over the reins to the new owners down there and to
Order hold.
yeah.
All right, we'll keep an eye on that. Anyone else have any? The rest of it all look pretty routine. Okay, motion on the floor, all in favor? Carried, thank you very much. 7.1. Report by Jessica Wilson, Executive Assistant, Public Works, dated September 4, 2024, regarding the 2024 year-end pool report be received by Parks and Rec Committee and staff file accordingly. That was moved by Nettie, seconded by Alex. Any questions on this report?
No, I'm giving her thumbs up. Don't have any questions. I think she's done a good job.
I don't have anything to add to it.
Can we make sure the wish list gets added into our budget type talks so we can go through it? Anything in there that needs, no one's having a wish list if we're just gonna throw it out.
Yes.
Then we will forget months from now what the wish list was all about is what I.
So we'll definitely include those in the budget. There's a few items
Some
in
of them
there
are
that we're
pretty-
probably gonna try to cover with the grant that we're gonna discuss next.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, everything I read was a good report, very full. Anybody else have any questions on it? Any concerns? Then we'll ask that we file that motion. All in favor? Great, thank you. 7.2. Surveillance camera. So Again, Alex Bojan, seconded by Nettie McEwen, that the report submitted by Paul De Silva, Director of Public Works, dated September 2024, regarding the camera surveillance installation and Centennial Park be received as information. Like you're on.
Yeah, do you want me to?
Sure, I would
Run
love,
through it?
I
Yeah.
would love for
Yeah,
you to.
thank you, Mr. Chair. So we have a security system on the building that was supplied and run from A1. That comes with software called alarm.com that senior staff have on their phones and can log on to on desktop. So we thought it was appropriate to go back to them to look at options for camera systems because we don't want to have two independent apps for reviewing this information. So they proposed installing a camera right outside here on the building. That would be that would be about $500 to do. And then the recorder itself is about $1,500. We've been just discussing internally the fact that this might expand a little bit, potentially to other parks, potentially to other town-owned assets and facilities. So we thought it was appropriate that the $1,500 be allocated just to our general facilities budget. And not necessarily just a Centennial Park because it's not, the $1,500 isn't gonna be spent just on the park. So yeah, that's what we put in front of you. $1,500 for the recorder and $500 for the camera, and then there's a small monthly fee just to maintain the service. So if anything happens at the park, we'll be able to pull that footage right from our phones.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I think it's good, so just as a test run before we put it in a bunch of other parks to make sure, is it actually helping, like, do we actually get identities or does it help the police before we start blanketing everywhere? I think it's just a good trial run, so.
Yeah, you can't get any closer than off the corner of our building. I have a couple of questions. A $10 maintenance fee, what does that get us?
The $10 maintenance fee is because it's on the cloud system as well, it backs up to the cloud, so that's part of it. And then the actual camera itself has like analytics that it's able to provide, so it doesn't have to be necessarily running all the time. It would just sense when either there's a vehicle or there's a person or there's a pet. So it would be $5 a month for the actual recording and then $5 a month for camera for the analytics piece of it.
And how many cameras will this unit be able to record itself?
Yep, so right now there's 16 channels. We could put 16 cameras on it. That can be expanded to pretty much however many we want.
Okay. What else? I think it's, say we've been asking for it. That's one. Really, the whole thing, it's one repair of that door. The last time we did it, it was 1,200 and some bucks or something so. So we have motion on the floor, all in favor? Good, thank you. Eric? 7.3. Paul De Silva, Director of Public Works, dated September 11th. You were busy on the 11th, 2024, regarding an application for funding for the Community Support Recreation Infrastructure Fund to rehabilitate the Wyoming pool be received and endorsed and forwarded on to the council. That was moved by Donna, seconded by Teresa. Floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. We're quite excited about the potential of this grant. As everyone knows, the pool is getting to a vintage where it's becoming very difficult for us to maintain and requiring a lot of staff resources. Al's there just about every day tinkering with pumps and stuff just to get it to run efficiently. So we reviewed the requirements of the grant and we think that we stand a pretty good chance doing major rehab at the pool. We know that we want to replace it eventually, but with the cost of pools these days, we're hearing figures of anywhere between 2 and 5 million. We're looking at a long time to try to save up the money to do so. So we've met with some contractors to try to get an idea of what this is going to cost us and what we need to do. So we want to replace the liner with something that's going to last at least 10 to 15 years. Right now, we just went with a simple one that only has a 5-year lifespan. there's a few of the pumps that we can salvage, but enhancing all the mechanical room and doing some upgrades there. New plumbing, outdoors, indoors, new pool deck and some change room improvements. We did talk to, I kind of got ahead of myself when I said that we could switch to salt. They highly recommend that we don't. It's just when you get a fouling at the pool, the salt just won't take care of it. Chlorine's the way to go. So we're estimating about 400,000, but we're still refining those figures. Really what we're asking the committee to do is just endorse this, so that we could take it to council once we get some sharper numbers. And then you'll see it reflected in the budget that we're going to provide to this committee next month.
Questions? And that's gonna bump it open another 10 years down the road, 10 to 15.
Exactly.
Which is good with that? Motion on the floor, all in favor? Okay. Kelly got rid of any reports. Start with Blue Point Park. Teresa? Any other than your lights? Night when you go home, anything else?
No, just the usual that, there's signs, but people don't abide by them. For quite a few different issues, so.
There's signs everywhere, they don't. We spend a lot of money on signs for people to ignore them. Kamlaki Ball and Eddie,
Oh, the Kamlaki ballpark looks great and
when are they scheduled? Are they scheduled to come back next month?
Yep.
I think it's at the end of the, we should get them in Wyoming to do a year end kind of. For our budget especially, if there's anything major going on, right?
Agreed.
Okay, if you could do that for us. Highland Glen, Teresa and Eddie.
Highland Glen looks great. Actually, it really does. It's, just a pleasure to drive down there, down around and it's an easy walk to the beach. Especially with a little stairway too, Yeah, and the beach is fantastic this year too.
Alex,
For me,
But once we
hold on, Eddie's not done.
I'm not done yet. There's a trail that goes up and over, that hill, right through the.
We call that Nettie's home.
And so I thought we were going to continue that once across the driveway, across the laneway, and then into the next area.
Head west.
We discussed that, didn't we? And
That's a discussion.
that's all we did was discuss.
It's a work in progress. When we
I see.
find some guys that are looking for a little bit of things to do, I send them down there to work at things and.
Aren't you? We'll find some guys who are looking for things to do. Okay, thank you. That'd be
Well,
great.
last year, we attacked it quite heavily last year with students, right? This year, our grass grew so fast this year, we just didn't find that little bit extra time. The slowdown didn't happen.
Oh, it's not off your list, that's all, right?
Definitely not.
Fine.
Okay, Lakeshore right away, Alex.
well, now that you know. No.
Lakeshore, Lamarckton Parks is Dean. I've heard nothing about either one of them, so. Maybe McEwen Park.
McEwen Park, yeah. There's several trees there that are showing stress. There's bark that's peeling off and, it's the whole tree, not just what the part where the snipper goes by, So is there something wrong with those trees? What's the matter with those?
Talking about all the young ones,
Yeah, they're young ones.
I'm not an arborist. I couldn't tell
Okay.
you whether they have a disease or not, but I can find somebody that could give me an answer
I
on it.
just think that it's not normal. So I don't go to a big deal about it, but
Don't spend 4,000.
no. So. And there's a whole bunch of, around the tree trunks, there's a lot of weeds and grass and crap. But don't let somebody in there loose who doesn't know how to whippersnip, okay? Please, please,
Just for you, Nettie.
thank you. And there's goldenrod growing up around there. That's gotta be taken care of. An area along the shore, huh? They are beautiful, but try and pull one out. You can't. And there's along the Baldwin, back of the Baldwin's houses too. There's a few There's patches of goldenrod and they're just a pain. So,
Okay, Park, Mike,
Looks good. Nothing to report.
Wyoming Ball, I've heard nothing from them. The last one was the sprinkler thing that we looked after. Wyoming Trail,
It's good.
Top Park, Donut.
I have a list. Wilson Park, it's only 3 doors down from me. Somebody has taken shovels and they've dug a hole in the sand and they made a hill so they can dump bikes over it. Gotta put that back in order. It's been quite a while since somebody's even rototilled anything in there. So, I don't know who's putting the hill up there. I just never go, I always, when I leave my driveway, I go this way. I don't go that way. But I just noticed it today. It's gotta be a hill about maybe 15, 16 inches high, but then there's also a great big hole in the sand where they took that to make it, so.
We'll address that and you have a look at that, please.
So we got that, yeah, just the whole thing needs rototilled. On the park at the tracks, there's no 911 sign there.
Agree?
I went around it twice today because I can't see no sign, whether there was one there, somebody moved it. Sign's gone anyway,
We'll look into that.
and just a little bit of rototilling underneath that one as well. And Plum Park looks great, Donkers Park needs a little TLC underneath the swings. They've got it down about that deep, just from dragging their feet trying to stop, so. Next time you buy it. And somebody has, at Donkers Park, somebody has sprayed something on the ground on the west side. It's about that wide and about 10 feet long. You can just see it. Somebody's just actually sprayed and it's all dead grass. I don't know what that come from. Or reason.
Nothing to my knowledge. We don't just go out and start spraying the park.
I know, but I can tell because I do some spraying and this is actually, you see the edge. It's not just something that's gradually getting good or bad. It's just somebody sprayed something. You might want to take a look at it and put some grass seed back on it. That's about it.
Okay, thank you. Bylaws, we have no correspondent. Fire action correspondence, recommended reading the Kentucky Coffee Tree Agreement. Heard that our Director of Works would like to address that.
Yeah, this probably requires a bit of context.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had someone reach out to me from Trees for Life. They're giving away 1,100 Kentucky coffee trees. These are threatened species. And they've asked us to either A, the town could take some and plant them ourselves, or B, advertise them to our residents. So we would essentially probably put something out on social media that says that these things are available. They would have to sign this agreement and we'd send it back, and then they would deliver as many trees as we order. So more or less putting this on here to see what the committee's thoughts on that are and if they think it's a worthwhile endeavor. I know for us, I mean, once you install one and once it's thriving, you cannot remove it. So we have to be if we're going to take any on ourselves, we need to be very, very careful as to where we're putting them.
you want to make sure you want it there.
Exactly.
Who is responsible?
Good point.
So the residents are responsible for, there's 2 requirements. They have to take care of it for 3 years and they have to respond. I think they have to go yearly, speak with Trees for Life, just to kind of update them on the status of the trees. Yeah, maintain the trees for 3 years and agree to water them, essentially, that we wouldn't be under an
Who's
agreement.
policing it is kind of where.
Not us.
Go ahead, Teresa.
How would that go if somebody went to sell their property and don't realize that the former people that had the house have signed this agreement?
Through the chair, I don't really have an answer to that. I think this agreement is not necessarily in place to like, they're not gonna come down and inspect the trees necessarily. It's more of a promise between this organization and the person that they're gonna try their best to take care of these trees. My understanding is not a lot of these things survive. You could plant three and they could all three of them die in the same season. That's why they're threatened. But I think it's more of a just a kind of a personal commitment that you're gonna try and get trees to thrive. So you wouldn't necessarily be committing the next person that's living there to keeping them necessarily. But I don't have an answer to that.
What are you thinking?
I
You're
think
the
we
tree
should,
lady.
well, yeah, I think we should offer them to advertise and offer them to our residents. If anybody wants any.
No. No hassle to us as far as
Right.
policing it and all that stuff. I don't see why. Go ahead, Teresa.
It also talks about the cormorants. Like, I've only ever seen one in this area. I think it's more of a, they're populated more in the northern area of Ontario than it is through here. Like, we might be in the migration pattern, but like, for having a concentration of these birds, I don't think our community would have like a concern with the acidity and
Where's it talking about cormorants?
On the application.
So I don't have a copy.
The tree faces challenges like habitat degradation due to fire suppression,
Oh.
soil failure caused by high densities of double crested cormorants.
Okay,
I'm assuming they land in the tree.
Other thing.
I'm sure.
Don't want to poop in the coffee tree. So are we good to? I don't know.
There's no cost to us, and
No,
as long as we're very clear, it can't be planted on public property. Than what you said.
agreed, yeah. Don't plant them on public property and yeah, zero cost to us. We just a little bit of staff time to kind of organize and distribute once they come in.
We good with that? All right. We didn't have a motion, did we? New business. No,
I have nothing.
Nettie?
And
Alex, Teresa, Donna? Good.
So close.
Ms. Wilson, anything? Okay, now you.
I'll be quick, I promise.
Hey, dude.
So
4 minutes.
I'll start with the really good news. We were successful in getting a grant extension for the Canton Park washrooms until December of next year. So lots of time to get that done. That's exciting. I wanted to bring the budget to this meeting. Unfortunately, with not having the actuals for June, July, and August, I felt we needed that information. Yeah, so we'll review it next time. And then we did get an email from the parent council at the Wyoming Public School asking for us to help them out with some trees.
we
Basically,
got a tree for you.
yeah.
Kentucky espresso bean.
Yeah, so they're requesting some tree donations. They lack a little bit of shade in the yard. Just discussing with Al prior to the meeting, we do have quite a few trees that need to be installed this year, so
And also if we offer some of these Kentucky
We could.
coffee trees.
I think they're only like that.
Well, they'll go.
Yeah. We could definitely offer some.
Yes, and that gives
coffees.
kids something to do too, watch those trees and water, right?
So
Sure, I was looking for spots to put them, so.
everyone's good with us working with the school to get them some trees.
Will you
Absolutely.
mention the coffee?
I will absolutely mention the coffee
Okay,
trees as
all
well.
Nice grove along the back fence.
Mhm. And that's all I have.
Well, I have a motion by Teresa, seconded by Donna, that the Parks and Rec Committee meeting be adjourned and the next regular meeting be set for October 17th. All in favor? Carried. Well, short and sweet, everyone. Thank you.